For number one, this is all partitioning. Okay, so I'm going to write formula up right here. Okay, we wrote it yesterday on our notes. So it is technically, and it's on this little poster, but I kind of made it too small, so I will rewrite it later on at some point. So your equation is you're taking K, you're multiplying by the difference of the X's, which is technically the rise and the run. So maybe we'll do one graph problem and then one without a graph. And then you're adding where you started. You're doing the same thing for Y. So I'm going to use a different color. So K, and then this time it's the same equation, but instead of X's, you're using the Y values. Shh, be quiet. So with the graphs, you could use the rise and the run concept, which I feel like might have confused people yesterday. Or you can use 2 coordinate points on the graph and write it out. Let's take a vote. Would you like to use the rise and run method for the graph, or would you like to just write out the coordinate points? Okay, let's use the rise and the run. Okay, so for the rise and the run, we're going from A to B. So we're starting at A. That's key. I need to write that out. So let's write out A. Where's point A at on my graph? It's like -2. No.
What are you on?
Like, where's the point A at?
It's at the bottom right now.
Okay, thanks.
That's not 2. That's like.
That is -2.
Wait, can you zoom in? Because I don't.
Girl, you got the graph in front of
I
you.
know, but the line is right here, and this line is like.
This is the line,
Oh.
and this is the line.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Anyways, so we are going to talk about the rise and the run. So if I'm starting at A, how much do I have to rise to get to B? Get to counting.
15.
15.
Is it 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It is 15. So your X is your, oh my God, I'm like saying this wrong. Your Y is your rise, which is 15. How much do you run across? 3. So your run is 3. I'm sorry I said that backwards, but it's okay. We understand we're running and we're rising, correct? Okay. So we need to figure out what our ratio is. So off to the side, I'm going to draw a little mini picture. I know I have A and B at the ends. P is somewhere on here, and I'm just making this really small because it's just a picture for me to help me figure out the ratio. It says my ratio from A to P is 2. And then it says P to B is 1. So I'm not using 2/1 as my fraction. It is 2/3 because the whole thing represents 3. That front number should always stay the same, and then basically you're adding them together if you need to. Sometimes you don't need to. So my K is 2/3 because you're making it piece to whole. So I'm going to, instead of running a total of 3, I'm technically running 2/3 of that amount. So what is 2/3 times 3? The K?
2.
So
2, yeah.
Because your picture would already have this whole thing already drawn. So your picture would look like you would know the whole length number. They would tell you the whole length is 5. So the 3's cancel, so it's 2. And then you have to add where you started. So where did you start at for your X? Not 3. -2. Which is 0. I'm doing the same thing for the Y. I'm doing 2/3 times 15, because if I went the entire 15 up, that means I would get all the way to the other point. I want to know what 2/3 of way is. So I'm doing 2/3 times 15, which is 10. And then I have to add where I started. Where did I start? -7. So that's why we have to write out our starting point.
Wait. Oh, what? We were not supposed to. Oh, never mind. No.
So P is 0, 3. And if you put that on your graph, 0, 3 ends up right here, which makes sense. If you think about it, you're talking about A to B. You need to go 2/3 of the way. So 2/3 of the way would end up right here. And that looks approximately correct because it should be closer to B because you're going like 66% of the way. Let's do one on the back because you don't have the graph. And then I'll tell you which ones you can skip. So let's do one on the back to kind of freshen up our brains. So on the back, let's talk about number, there's a specific problem I want to do. Let's do number 7. So number 7 says given DF with D and F giving those coordinate points, E partitions DF such that the ratio of D to E, D to F is 5:8. Find the coordinates of E. Blech. So when in doubt, let's draw it out. So first, let's draw just a little picture off to the side. And I have D and I have F. I have E somewhere in the middle. And that little picture does not have to be perfect. It's literally just to help you visualize what your ratio is going to be. So the first part says DE
That's 5.
is 5. So how it says DE and DF, how it's the first and the second, that goes with the first and the second numbers in the ratio. Is 8. That's the whole thing. D to F is the whole thing. So this is where, Dominic, this is where you would not have to add them together. They actually give me the ratio. So it's not 5/13. What is it going to be? It's 5/8. Yes. Okay, so that's what we're using as our ratio. And then now I'm going to use my formula. So I'm going to call this one X1, Y1 because it's coordinate point 1. It's where I'm starting. The first letter is where I start. The second letter is F. That's where I'm going. So X2 minus X for Y2. So you have X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Normally, when you're given the graph, you find the rise and the run, which is where you're subtracting the X's and subtracting the Y's. So it's the formula on your notes from yesterday. It's also right here on the board. We also wrote it on the front of your paper. But if you want to just look at your notes, you can. So the first thing is I'm going to take my K, which is 5/8. And I am multiplying by the X's subtracted. So I'm doing X2 minus X1. So I have -9 minus -1. When you're subtracting a negative, what are you actually doing?
Plus.
Yes, so put a plus sign if you understand that. And then I need to add in the back where I started. Where did I start? At -1. So that's really -1. And then PEMDAS for life. I'm doing 5/8. I have -8 plus 1, -9 plus 1 is -8. (5/8) times -8, use a calculator, is -5. -1 gives you -6. We're going to do the same thing for Y. So I'm keeping my 5/8. In my parentheses, normally that's where your rise goes. To calculate rise, you're technically doing Y2 minus Y1. So I'm doing -5 minus 11.
There's -16.
And then I need to add where I started. Where did I start? At 11. So now I simplify PEMDAS for life. -5 minus 11 is -16. What is 5 base times -16? -10. And I add 11 to get 1. So your point E is at -6, 1. Okay, so I'm going to tell you which ones I want you to cross out. I'll write it down on like a sticky or something. So that way you can like see it. Okay, so the ones I want you to skip, you can scribble these out. You don't have to do them. I want you to skip number 4. Cross that bad boy out. You can skip number 11. You can skip 9 and 10. And I think that's it.
I think we're missing.
Well, because I did 2 of them, and then you get to cross out 4. There's a total of 11 problems. I feel like that's fair. Okay. So you can skip, yep. So you can skip these ones, cross them out. You don't have to do them. Let me know if you get stuck. Let me know if you need help. As you do them, check with the person next to you. You can work together. Use your notes. Get off your phone. Do your math. Yeah. Yes. Can you give me your phone? Here you go. Take the bath.
Okay, well, that's, yeah, but it's not easy.